I am 97 years old. In 3 years, I will be 100. Most people my age are gone. The ones still here are barely here. But I am awake. I am clear. And I need to tell you something before my time runs out. If I had just 3 more years of strength, I would spend every single day exposing one dangerous myth that has destroyed more retirements than market crashes, more futures than recessions, more lives than I can count. The myth that Social Security alone is enough to live on. It is not. It never was. And if you believe it, you're walking straight into a nightmare you cannot escape. My name does not matter. What matters is that I have lived through everything. The Great Depression when I was a child. World War II as a young man. Every recession, every boom, every crash since 1929. I have buried 2 wives, 3 of my children, most of my friends. I have watched generations come and go, and I have seen the same trap close on people over and over and over again. They work their whole lives. They pay into the system. They trust the promise. And then they retire and discover the truth too late. Social Security is not a safety net. It is a tightrope, and most people fall off. I need you to understand something. I am not telling you this because I want to scare you. I am telling you this because I have watched it happen. I have held the hands of friends who could not afford their medication. I have attended funerals for people who died because they delayed treatment to save money. I have sat in apartments where the heat was turned off in winter because the electric bill was too high. These were not lazy people. These were not foolish people. These were hard-working Americans who believed the promise, and the promise failed them. Let me take you back. 1935. Social Security was created. It was supposed to be supplemental income, not your only income. Supplemental. The architects of the program said this clearly. It was designed to work alongside pensions and personal savings. 3 legs of a stool. But somewhere along the way, the message got twisted. People started believing Social Security would take care of everything. And now, decades later, nearly half of all retirees depend on it for more than half their income. Some people, it is their only income. That is not what it was built for. That is like using a Band-Aid to close a surgical wound. Here is what they do not tell you. The average Social Security payment right now is around $1,800 per month. $1,800. Now think about your life, your rent or mortgage, your utilities, your food, your transportation, your medications, your insurance, your phone, your basic dignity. Can you live on $1,800 a month? Maybe if you own your home outright, have no debt, never get sick, never travel, never help your family, never have an emergency. Maybe, but that is not life. That is survival. That is waiting to die. I know because I have been there. Not for lack of planning. I had a pension. I had savings. But my first wife got cancer in 1983. 3 years of treatment, medications, experimental therapies. We burned through everything. When she died, I was 74 years old and nearly broke. If I had relied only on Social Security, I would have been homeless. I survived because I had built other streams, small investments, a rental property I bought in my 40s, dividends from stocks I held for decades. It was not much, but it was enough. Without those, I would have joined the statistics. Let me tell you about my friend Robert. We worked together for 38 years at the same manufacturing plant. Good man, honest, reliable. He retired at 65 with Social Security and a small pension. The pension paid $400 a month. Social Security paid around $1,600. $2,000 total. He thought he was set. Then his pension fund collapsed in 2008. Gone. Just like that. He went from $2,000 a month to $1,600. He lost his car. He moved into a subsidized apartment. He stopped seeing his grandchildren because he could not afford the gas. He died at 79, alone, bitter, broken. He did everything right, and the system still failed him. Now let me tell you about Dorothy. She was a school teacher for 42 years, never married, no children. She saved what she could, but teachers do not make much. She retired at 67, thinking Social Security plus her small teacher pension would be enough. $1,700 from Social Security, $300 from her pension, $2,000 a month. Then she fell, broke her hip, surgery, physical therapy, medications. Medicare covered some of it, but not all. The copays destroyed her. Within 2 years, she was eating 1 meal a day to afford her pills. I found her crying in the grocery store once, putting back food because she was $12 short. $12. This was a woman who taught children to read for 4 decades. And she was crying over $12. She died at 81. I spoke at her funeral. There were 14 people there. But let me tell you about someone who did it differently. His name was Miguel. He worked as a janitor at the high school where Dorothy taught. He made less money than she did, much less. But Miguel understood something she did not. He understood that the system would not save him. So starting at age 25, he put $50 from every paycheck into a retirement account. $50. For 40 years. He never increased it, never got fancy, just $50 every 2 weeks. When he retired at 65, he had over $300,000, not from luck, not from inheritance, from discipline, from knowing that Social Security was not enough and doing something about it when he still had time. Miguel is 92 now. He lives in a nice apartment. He helps his grandchildren with college. He takes his great-grandchildren to the movies. He is not rich, but he is free, and freedom is the only wealth that matters when you are old. Now let me tell you what the real crisis is. It is not just that Social Security is not enough. It is that fewer and fewer people have anything else. Pensions are almost extinct. Most companies do not offer them anymore. They switched to retirement accounts, where you are responsible for funding your own future. But people are not saving. 40% of Americans have nothing saved for retirement. Nothing. They are counting on Social Security entirely. And that is financial suicide. Here is the part that will upset you. The government knows this. They know Social Security alone is not enough. They have known it for decades. But they do not say it loudly because it would cause panic. Instead, they tinker with the edges. They raise the retirement age. They adjust the formulas. They talk about solvency and trust funds. But they do not tell you the brutal truth. If you retire with only Social Security, you will be poor, not struggling. Poor. And if you are starting from poverty, you will stay in poverty until you die. Let me tell you the lies people believe, the dangerous lies that keep them from acting. First lie, my house is my retirement plan. No, your house is where you live. Unless you are willing to sell it and move somewhere cheaper, it is not money. It is shelter. I have seen people house rich and cash poor, unable to afford food or medicine while sitting in a home worth $500,000. They cannot eat the equity. They cannot pay bills with square footage, and reverse mortgages are a trap that leaves nothing for your family. Second lie, my children will take care of me. Maybe, but your children have their own mortgages, their own debts, their own retirements to worry about. And even if they want to help, they may not be able to. Counting on your children is not a plan. It is a burden you place on people you love. Third lie, I will just work until I die. You might, or your body might give out at 68 and you will spend the last 12 years unable to work and unable to afford not to. I have watched people destroy their bodies trying to work past the point of capability because they had no choice. That is not noble. That is tragic. I am 97 years old, and I am telling you these things because I do not have time to be polite. I do not have time to soften the truth. You are in danger. Maybe not today, maybe not next year, but the clock is running, and every day you do not act is a day you lose forever. I see young people today, and I want to shake them. I want to grab them by the shoulders and scream, "You think you have time. You think it will work out. You think someone will take care of you. No one will. The system is not designed to take care of you. It is designed to keep you alive. Barely. There is a difference between existing and living. Social Security will help you exist. It will not help you live. So what do? You start now, not tomorrow, not next year, now. Even if you are 50, even if you are 60, even if you think it is too late, it is not too late until you're dead. And even then, you can leave something behind so your family does not suffer. You open a retirement account. You put something in every month, $10, $50, whatever you can. You do not wait for the perfect moment because the perfect moment does not exist. You do not wait until you have extra money because you will never have extra money. You make it a priority. You cut something else. You sacrifice now so you do not suffer later. You learn about compound interest. It is the only magic that exists in finance. Money that makes money. If you invest $100 a month, starting at 30, by 65, you will have over $200,000, assuming average returns. That is not wealth, but it is freedom. It is the difference between choosing where you live and being placed where they can afford to put you. It is the difference between seeing your grandchildren and watching them grow up through pictures someone sends you because you cannot afford to visit. Miguel understood this. Dorothy did not. One of them died free. One of them died crying over $12. You diversify. You do not put all your faith in one thing. Not Social Security, not your employer, not the stock market, not real estate. You spread it around. You build multiple small streams that together become a river. I learned this the hard way. I lost nearly everything once. I rebuilt by having 5 small income sources instead of one big one. When one failed, the others kept me afloat. Social Security was one stream. Rental income was another. Dividends were a third. A small part-time job was a fourth. Savings interest was a fifth. None of them made me rich. Together, they kept me alive and dignified. You stay healthy as long as you can. I know this sounds simple, but it is the most important financial decision you will make. Medical costs destroy retirements. I have watched it happen 100 times. Every year you stay healthy is money saved. Walk. Eat real food. Sleep. Avoid the hospital as long as possible because once you're in the system, the bills never stop. I am 97 and I still walk 2 miles every morning. Not because I love walking, because I cannot afford not to. My knees hurt. My back aches. I walk anyway, because the alternative is a wheelchair and a nursing home and bills that would crush whatever I have left. You stay engaged. You work part-time if you can, not because you need the identity, because you need the income, and because the moment you stop being useful, you start dying. I have seen people retire into nothing, and they are gone within 2 years. The body follows the mind. If you believe you're done, you will be done. I fix watches for people in my building. I charge $20. It keeps my hands steady and my mind sharp. More importantly, it gives me another $100 a week. That is $400 a month. That is groceries, that is medication, that is life. And finally, you accept the truth. The government is not your parent. Your employer is not your family. Social Security is not a promise. It is a supplement, a foundation, the smallest piece. You have to build the rest yourself. No one is coming to save you, not your children, who have their own struggles, not the system, which is already overloaded, not luck, which runs out. Only you, your choices, your discipline, your willingness to face reality now instead of being crushed by it later. I am 97 years old. I have 3 years left if I am lucky, maybe less. I am not afraid of dying. I am afraid of leaving you with lies. The lie that you will be taken care of. The lie that it will all work out. The lie that Social Security is enough. It is not enough. It was never enough. And every year you believe that lie is a year you cannot get back. Let me ask you something. If you died tomorrow, what would your family find? Would they find accounts with your name on them? Investments you made? A plan you executed? Or would they find debt, confusion, and the burden of taking care of expenses you should have prepared for? Would your husband or wife have to sell the house? Would your children have to cover your final costs? Would you leave them freedom, or would you leave them struggling? That is the test. That is the only question that matters. I am begging you, do not make the mistakes I have watched 1,000 people make. Do not wait. Do not assume. Do not hope. Act, plan, save, build. Because the only thing worse than working your whole life is working your whole life and having nothing to show for it but a check that does not cover your rent. Because the only thing more painful than sacrifice is regret. And regret is all you will have if you do not start today. If this message finds you and you feel that weight in your chest, that is not fear. That is awareness. That is the beginning of change. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Comment below if you are starting today. Tell me what you're going to do differently. Subscribe if you want the truth, not the comfortable lie. I do not have 3 more years to waste on people who are not ready to listen. But if you are ready, I will tell you everything I know before my time is up. The clock is ticking. For me and for you.